So the Ultimate Universe has a new Ultimate Spider-Man, and let me tell you, that is not even the biggest reveal here of this issue. So the story here is coming out of Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman here with issue number 22. So what happens here is that this picks up 3 months after Mysterio's hideout here was bombed, presumably killing Gwen Stacy. Now we start out here by seeing a new looking Spider-Man swinging through the city. Now he stops off here at a takeout restaurant under the alias here of Mr. Man. And apparently this man doesn't like soy sauce because he makes sure to mention, "Are you sure that there's no soy sauce? Because I was very clear about no soy sauce." So what he does next here is that he wipes the food upon his back and then he heads down here into the sewer, which at this point is in Mole Man's lair. And then we catch a glimpse of his face. And by the looks of those goggles, you already know who it is. And this man says, "The depths to which I sink." And then in this next shot here, we get the Superior Spider-Man look, which, man, let me tell you, is fire. And then this man continues to say, "Hiding deep in the earth beneath the great behemoth of the city, like something small and inferior, when I am so much more, when I am so very superior." So coming out to greet him here are Mary Jane and May Parker. And as May grabs the bags and heads inside, May just has one hope. She's like, "I hope that they didn't forget the soy sauce because they always forget the soy sauce. And I love soy sauce." And then this man just lies. He's like, "I'm sure it's in there. I was very clear. I said there better be soy sauce in that bag or else." Come on, man, don't lie to the kids. So then May, she's like, "Thanks, Otto, you're the best." To which he responds, he's like, yes, I am. Now, to be fair here, we saw this coming right with Otto after seeing him tinker with the spider that bit Peter Parker here in the very last issue. Although I didn't think that it would happen so soon, but I guess when you only have 2 issues left before the finale, I guess you kind of got to speed some things up. So next here, Otto goes upstairs to touch base with Ben and with Jonah, and they are currently right now working on getting the story out that is supposed to be the big one that is all centered here on Kingpin, something that was discussed back here in the very last issue. Now, Ben, of course, is naturally like not appreciating the fact that Jonah's just like hovering over his shoulder while he's editing. But Otto, though, he got one question. He's like, "All right, how much longer?" Which is when Ben responds back and is like, "We got a couple hours here. We could be ready to go tonight." But then Jonah responds back. He's like, "But we'll drop it first thing tomorrow. And then throughout the day, it will be the only thing that anyone is talking about." So here, Otto has a warning. He's like, "Just remember that there is a limit to how many bursts that we can push out before the signal can be traced. I built all this as well as it could be done. But like I said, there are limits. Also, by the way, just so you know, I got dinner." And it's a good thing too, because, you know, Jonah was starving after all. And here he's going to save the day because this man got his own soy sauce. And in this next moment here, this is actually really nice because what we get to see is that we get to see MJ, we get to see her aunt, we get to see May, Richard, Ben, Jonah, Mole Man and his Moloids, of course. And they're all here at dinner, all except, of course, Peter and Harry. So naturally the question is, okay, well, where are they? Well, they're currently out fighting some bullseyes right now. And we get the shot, like this shot right here is so fire with Spidey taking on like 6 of the bullseyes here at once. And, you know, Harry's there in the back too, just, you know, hovering. Now, of course, naturally, you know, Peter kind of had to ruin the moment here because he says to Harry, he's like, "We've been smashing these guys for over a year now. You'd think that by now that they'd have learned their lesson or gotten some new," but before he could even finish that sentence, here comes this little like eye beam coming out of the messed up eye here of one of the bullseyes. And, you know, naturally Peter dodges it, but not so much here for Harry because he gets knocked off his little hover thing. I said hover thing. You know what it is, guys. Come on, give me a break here. It's glider. It's glider. Okay, I said it. And then Peter's like, "Ah, my bad, man. Sorry, pal. That one's on me." So then what happens next here is that Harry's like, "Yo, no sweat, no problem at all, Spider-Man. I happen to have gotten some upgrades of my own." So then what he does here is that he drops down this device that emits this energy that pretty much basically just takes out all the bullseyes that were there. To which Spider-Man replies back, he's like, okay, that was cool, maybe a tad bit excessive, but okay, cool. So now Peter has a question. He's like, okay, so what were all these guys doing here, and specifically why now? Because that's typically not really their MO. To which Harry's like, I wouldn't really overthink it. See bullseye, hit bullseye, be home in time for dinner. Which reminds Harry is like, to Spider-Man, if you hurry, you can still make it in time. But Peter is checking in on Harry here because he's like, you know, what about you? Because remember now, Gwen Stacy just died. So Harry just kind of shrugs it off. He's like, I'll admit, like, you got me a little curious, so I'm going to kind of tinker around here for a little bit to see if something pops up after dealing with these bullseyes. But Peter's like, just come on home, man. It'll help to be around everyone. But Harry doesn't really see it that way. He's like, all it would do is remind me that you've got a great family and that I don't, at least not anymore. Plus, you know, one can only take so much Otto. But Peter doesn't want to let him off the hook. But the thing here is that Harry, he's pretty set on this. He's like, really, Pete, it's fine. Gwen's gone and I miss her. But what else am I going to do besides this? So then Peter's like, okay, then promise me that you'll yell if you need me. To which Harry's like, all right, yeah, man, I got you. The comms work fine. So if I yell, then you better come running. And that's when Peter takes off. And when that happens, that's when Harry starts talking to his AI. Now, as we know, his AI here is his pops, Norman Osborn. He's like, all right, we're all clear. To which Norman responds back and is like, what a tangled web that we weave when first we practice to deceive. I'm so proud of you, son, which is all Harry wants to hear. Just that his dad is so proud of him. But then responds back, Harry's like, I just want him to be safe. There's nothing more to it. To which Norm responds back and is like, of course, why wouldn't you lie to him? If all you're going to do is then lie to yourself. And then he just lets out this massive sigh. So then later on back home, we catch Otto tinkering. And then we hear him start talking as he says, he's like, you see, I've studied how the people who really run this world operate. I've studied them. I've studied their methods, and more than that, I've studied their master, the great maker. And we see him working here on this device, as he says, a great builder of societies, a great builder of machines. It took some time, a deep dive into all the records that Stain/Stark possessed and following all those threads to their origin. You see, there's a string at the center of the world. It connects to a series of nodes that all connect to the maker's fabled city itself. An ocean of knowledge that all rivers flow to. And I've built this to infect it. So naturally, first and foremost, Richard is the one that he's been talking to. And naturally, Richard is like, okay, like, what is it? So Otto explains, he's like, it's a worm, a subtle self-replicating parasite that eats the tiniest portion of all that knowledge. Put this device in the right place and it will erase any existing, and more important than that, any future acquisition of information regarding your family. Now, Richard is sly here because he's like, and you too, right? To which Otto's like, yes, of course, along with any of our other small number of allies. Richard's like, okay, so what's the catch here? He's like, it has to be connected to one of the maker's nodes, and the only accessible one on this continent is located in the heart of the Kingpin's empire. And Otto being slick, he's like, if only there was someone brave enough to do this. To which, of course, Richard is like, subtle. But the point here that Otto's trying to make is, listen, this got to get done. I'm not quite sure that I would want to send out Richard to get this done, though. After all, I mean, I know he got the Pico suit, but still a child. So it's a lot of pressure to put on him. To which, of course, is the reason why Richard snaps back and is like, well, why don't you do it instead of trying to get me grounded again? And as Otto responds back, as we, by the way, see those octopus tentacles, you know, in the background as they speak, he's like, well, it's because of this. To get to the node, someone would need to break into one of the most secure vaults in this hemisphere. And why, one could argue that only one of the greatest thieves in the history of the world could pull off something like this. So Otto doesn't necessarily want Richard to do this per se. What he wants is for Richard to ask for somebody who's very gifted at this that he knows that could get this done. But we'll pick up on that later here, because what happens is that we get to see this interaction between Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Peter lets her know that Harry wanted to stay out. And of course, MJ, she's worried about Harry here, to which of course Peter is too. He's like, it's been 3 months and we keep hoping that he's going to get through this. And it's so dumb. If it was you, of course, I'm speaking of MJ, he's like, I'll never get over it. To which, of course, here MJ makes a joke. She's like, well, better hope nothing ever happens to me then, because I'd move on. Meet someone who's home all the time and doesn't work so hard. Someone who will sweep me off my feet. To which, of course, Peter is always self-deprecating here. He's like, totally understandable. You really could do a lot better. But just curious, what's this hypothetical dream guy look like? To which MJ is like, I don't know. Never seen his face. He wears a mask. So what this dude does is that he throws the dish of food and then just drags the mask down. Love this moment. Of course, naturally, now they take that opportunity here to go out a little further into the Savage Land and do their thing. And later on here in the aftermath of this, Peter is such a gentleman here, having her wear his top half. So, so that she doesn't get cold. So then as the sun rises here on another day, Peter just can't really shake this feeling that he currently has right now. And MJ is like, come on, man, don't ruin the mood. But when he starts to explain what he's feeling, he's like, all day long, I've just had this feeling and it's just been gnawing at me here. I feel like something terrible is about to happen. So in this next moment here, what we do is that we go over to see Black Cat, who is currently overlooking here the Fifth Tower. And who shows up right in that same section? Well, none other than our favorite Pico-suited Spider-Man, Richard Parker. So when she asks the question, what are you doing here? His response is, 1, I was looking for you. And 2, believe it or not, I'm on a mission. And then he shows her this device. He's like, I'm supposed to break into that building and place this device where it needs to go. I could save my family, and I made sure it could also save you. So I'm doing it. And there's nothing Kingpin can do to stop me. So in response here, Felicia says, she's like, you should know, I followed Mr. Negative here. To which Richard's like, so I'm still going, but I could really use your help. Want to get into some trouble? To which she's like, of course, definitely. Now, right here, this next moment is where we pick back up on Green Goblin, right? And there's this person that's talking to him right now. And the question comes in that says, is he in there? To which Harry responds back and is like, yes. It's like he doesn't even care what I've done. I see a dozen more enhanced humans and the target 2 floors down from the roof. So then the voice says, time to go in then. And then when we see who is talking to him, I don't know what this mishmash of multiple Mysterios are, but they continue to talk and say, are you with us? Are you with us? This is like all the voices asking him, are you with us? Are you with us? Are you with us? Are you with us? And then this last voice here says, are you with me, Harry? Oh my goodness. So either this man is delusional or they found some way for all the Mysterios that got bombed to survive and then fuse into, I wouldn't say Ultimate Mysterio, but Ultimate Mysterio is already in the Ultimate Universe, but damn. So first and foremost, a lot of y'all called her, right? Y'all said, no, there's no way that Gwen Stacy's dead. I'm assuming that this has something to do with the amulet, and then somehow the amulet trying to save her then led to all of them merging together. Like, y'all let me know down below in the comments. Overall, what do you think about this? My one thing is that I'm concerned about here, or not really concerned about, kind of bummed out about here, is that, yeah, we got Auto Spider. We got Superior Spider-Man. But at the same time, like, what is Superior Spider-Man going to do when we only have so many more issues left, right? This kind of feels like a little bit too late. This would have been dope like maybe 2 or 3 issues ago. But either way, leave it down below in the comments. Love the story overall. What was your favorite aspect of this here? Don't forget to leave a like on this video here for the YouTube algorithm. Also, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. Also, if you love the content that we're bringing out here and you want to help keep the lights on, then consider becoming a YouTube channel member or joining us here on Patreon. Every little bit helps here to make sure that we're continuing to bring you good content every single week. We appreciate you. And as always, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin' a Comic. Bye.